evening, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the League One Review Show. I'm joined today by Jonathan Harries, who's an MK Dons fan, works with the MK Dons Supporters Association doing trash talk and writing the previews. All links to his Twitter and the MKDSA is in the description down below. Thank you for joining me, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm very well. Can't complain at the minute at League One, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah, it's been a great start for you guys. We've got some midweek games to go through they were the rearranged fixtures from the international break, so we'll have a quick whip through those. And if you are new to this video, what we do is we go around the grounds and we'll start at MK Dons versus Wycombe from Saturday. And I'll say a few words about our game at Plymouth. It was a long old journey to come back with nothing. And then we'll whip around the grounds and finish off with a look at the table, which is positive viewing for MK Dons fans, not so much for us. We've got MK Dons next Saturday as well, so hopefully, if you like Jonathan, let us know and he'll be back on next week. And also, saying that, if you enjoy it, Jonathan, you're more than welcome back on next week as well.
Yeah, well, that depends on the result, to be honest, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see, definitely. So let's get some of the score lines up from midweek. We'll start at Gillingham versus Charlton. And it's not been a great start for Charlton this season. They're struggling to kind of find the form that a lot of people expected, but a good break for their first goal. But the keeper beat at the near post. I'd expect him to be doing better than that. And then a well-worked corner for the equaliser. I'm not sure if you've seen the highlights from midweek. Jonathan, thoughts on that game if you have?
I didn't see the highlights until probably Friday, but I watched Gills in the Blood, and it sounded like it was genuinely a game of two halves. And I think Steve Evans changed the tactics at half time, and by all accounts, Gills could have gone on and won it. And I'm getting very concerned about Charlton start to the season at the minute. I had them as certain playoff material, but it just doesn't seem to be clicking at the minute. You could be say that about quite a few sides, but I'm starting to really worry about Charlton.
I'd agree with that. Charlton, Ipswich, Doncaster, three teams that I'd not expect to see down near the bottom of the table. I had us down as a mid-table, but Ipswich and Charlton, will say more about them as the video goes on. But two teams that I expected to be, like yourself, up there or fighting in and amongst it up at the top end of the table. So on to Crewe versus Morecambe, two teams that I expected to be down at the bottom, but Morecambe have started extremely well. And Crewe struggling to find that form. Mikael Mandron on the score sheet once again, but poor defending for the goals. Crewe all over the place, but they did have opportunities throughout the game to pull something from this fixture.
Yeah, and the thing for me on that graphic is the fact that they've won Morecambe have won a game without Kohler Goldstockton scoring. I think that's a massive thing for them going into the season. Obviously, he's in a rich vein of form at the minute, but you can't depend on him to score every week. So it was good to see that the win was without any of his sort of contribution. And Crewe is a team that I've respected for a while, and it just seems that they've lost too many good players too soon, really, and it's going to take them a while to recover from this.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there that Cole Stockton's not on the score sheet, but really positive viewing for Morecambe fans seeing two other goal scorers on there, but eventually Crewe focusing on Stockton, trying to stop him from getting the goals that he's been getting recently, and maybe they've taken the eye off of the ball with other potential threats and paid the price for that. So a good result for Morecambe midweek. And then finally, the last midweek game from Tuesday is Portsmouth 2, Plymouth 2. And I looked at this one and thought Plymouth may have had a tough outing, which may have benefited us on Saturday. I think it did in a way. We were the better team on Saturday, and potentially this fixture could have had an impact on that. But heartbreak, 95th minute equaliser to not take any points away from Fratton Park. But stats wise, very even game, could have gone either way, and maybe a draw is a fair result there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a massive rivalry down there, and if you're a fan, you don't want to lose. And from what the highlights I've seen, Plymouth were very clinical with Ryan Hardy, who seems to have taken the pressure off Jeffcott a bit with a few goals this season. Bit of bias, but I think bringing Jordan Houghton in has really sort of stabilised them defensively. He was very underrated at MK Dons, and it's you say it's probably heartbreak for Plymouth to concede in the 95th minute, but Danny Cowley will be probably relieved that he's not lost that game, because he would have probably been under a bit more pressure.
Yeah, not too good a start for Portsmouth after, well, a good start, but then they've kind of started to stutter a little bit over recent weeks. So yeah, I think I agree with that. I think pressure off a little bit for Cowley. I think if they'd lost that one, it could have got a little bit tasty on the old socials. But Ryan Hardy's first goal, nice little dink over the keeper. Second goal showed composure, and you'd like to think as travelling supporters scoring on the 80th minute, you've got enough about you to manage that game out. But unfortunately, for Plymouth fans, they did not. So it finished 2-2 there. And that takes us into Saturday's fixtures. So with you being the guest, the floor is all yours for MK Dons versus Wycombe. Tell us about it. Let us know what we need to know.
Well, the stats make it look like we completely dominated with obviously the shots and the shots on target and possession again up in 80%. I think we had 84 against Gillingham the week before, but it all hinged on a mad few minutes in the first half. Wycombe actually came out and played well, forced a point blank save from Fisher early on. Horgan hit the top of the bar, but then they got a really cheap free kick. And as a fan, it's a cheap free kick when the player's screaming in agony, a high pitched scream. He's conned the referee.
Yeah.
Ball came in. Tafazoli headed it in, and we weren't sure at first whether it was offside or whether it was a foul from Vokes on Harry Darling, but looking at the highlights, Tafazoli was offside. So absolutely fair play to the referee for the linesman actually for getting that spot on. Didn't please the Wycombe fans at all. And then we went up the other end a couple of minutes later. Dean Lewington playing beautiful ball round the back, and Anthony Stewart didn't know where Troy Parrott was, tripped him up. Definite penalty. Feel sorry for them. It shouldn't have been a sending off. It should have just been a yellow. This obviously the referee didn't know about this double jeopardy or something, and Troy sticks it away, celebrates in front of them, riles them up a bit. Half time came. Gareth Ainsworth and Akinfenwa decided to go and speak to the referee, which I'm sure the ref was a bit scared of, to be honest. But second half was pretty much, we were completely dominant in possession. We had so many balls into the box. The only critical thing was if Mo Isa was in there, I think Mo Isa would have had a hatful. The balls going in. Parrott was pulling out wide. I think number 10 rolls his best position. Ethan Robson, again, unsung hero for us. He's pulling the strings with Matt O'Reilly. What a find that was from Fulham, by the way. And towards the end, they bring the big Akinfenwa on, and you know what's going to happen. Any opportunity, long ball, hit him. And so it was all about winning the second balls, and fair play to Harry Darling and Dean Lewington, doubled upon him and didn't really have a shot to save. And another win. That's 4 wins on the bounce, 3 clean sheets at home on the bounce. So at the minute, really can't complain. And this is all without Mo Isa at the minute. So
when is Mo back?
Really. He's back in training, so he might be back for you guys next Saturday.
That is not good news. So Lizzie's hit the nail on the head. Absolute dreading playing MK next week. You guys are in fantastic form. It's going to be a tough game, but Saturdays sounds like a good day at the office. And like I say, the stats pretty much say it all. Could have been much, much more. Was the red card a red card? I think it was a harsh red card, definite penalty, no arguments on that. But like you say, that double jeopardy, I think it confuses more people than it clears up. To be fair, so unfortunate to get the red card, but it is what it is. You've got to deal with that, and Wickham unfortunately didn't, and MK Dons dominated from there on in, really.
Yep.
And you also hit the nail on the head with Akinfenwa, where as soon as he comes on, you know that he's just going to absolutely terrorise the defence and cause problems in and around there. He's a big target man, fantastic player at this level. How many more seasons is he going to be playing? Maybe one more at this level.
I think this is his last season, he said. I'm sure I read somewhere that this is his last season, so
that's good news for defenders all over the country. So moving on to Plymouth versus Doncaster, we've got a comment here. Evening, how are you feeling after such a long day yesterday? Very tired, but we are getting through. So we'll fly around this. Well, we'll go through this one, fly around the grounds, and then I'll be able to get my head down and catch up on some sleep as well. But for me, long trip, an enjoyable trip down. We stopped off at a few places, so it didn't feel quite as long as what people said it was gonna. Took us about 7 hours to get down, but in terms of the game, I think performance-wise, we played very, very well, and I think if we perform at that level from here on in throughout the season, we should be fine. We should start picking up more results or more positive results than what we have done at the start of the season. Great to go 1-0 up. The penalties, first one, no arguments, definite penalty. It was a rash challenge by Kyle Noyle. Great play down the left-hand side by Plymouth. He's played it across. There's no need to dive in. He's given the referee a decision to make, and that's what you don't want to be doing. But from around 65 minutes, for me, Plymouth were turning the screw and putting the pressure on, and we just couldn't cope with it. And then, dying seconds, a ball's been whipped in. Dahlberg's tried to collect it, he's dropped it. From where I was, it looked like he grabbed hold of the ball, and Agard had kicked it out of his hands. Still can't quite see it on the replay, but then Dahlberg's gone down and pulled Agard down. So looking at the challenge from Dahlberg on Agard, it's another penalty. But I think there was something before it which could have potentially been blown up, and we'd have had the point which I think we deserved. But that's football. Can't believe the ref in your game, Dan. Shocking. And to be fair, some of the Plymouth fans said that he was their best player. So that kind of says it all. I think Plymouth fans were expecting a bit of a rollover, an easy game, and it definitely wasn't that. So hopefully the performances continue over the next couple of weeks, and we start to see results coming. We've got another tough trip to Ipswich on Tuesday night, so not looking forward to that one. We need to. That's a 6-pointer down at the bottom of the table. If they win, we're getting caught adrift a little bit. So I'd take a draw right now, but would love 3 points. So yeah, disappointing result, but performance gives me optimism. I don't know if you saw the highlights to this one. What are your thoughts, Jonathan?
Yes, I saw the highlights, and from what I've gathered on social media, it's the toughest game Plymouth have had for a while. I know they're on a similar unbeaten run like ourselves, and it really sounds like you took the game to them. Real good goal by Hirula, who hopefully can find a settled side. But as you say, first penalty, no arguments, and second one, as you say, it's difficult to see. But if you're just going off the challenge on Dahlberg on Agard, we've got to admit Agard's a seasoned pro. He'll know exactly what he was doing there, and say it probably wasn't Plymouth's most fluent performance considering how they've played recently, but say hopefully your luck will change soon, because if you got an award for bad luck, I think you guys would be having it at the minute. And less said about Trevor Kettle, the better.
Yes, definitely. So moving on to the next game, we have got Wigan versus Crewe. Once I find it.
Cheltenham, underneath the Cheltenham one. There
Cheltenham, sorry. Wigan versus Cheltenham. Wigan coming out 2-0 winners. Fast start, 8 minutes in, 1-0 up, and it was Callum Lang and Charlie White kind of taking over the show on Saturday. Charlie White sets up Lang for the first, and then the favour is repaid in the second half, and Wigan starting to look like a team, clicking. Big overall over the summer, and it's starting to click at the minute, isn't it?
Yep, definitely. And the good thing for Wigan fans is that Charlie White's now got his shooting boots on. There was a lot of pressure on him after getting his 30 plus goals for Sunderland last season. He's got big, big sort of responsibility to get them promoted. Reportedly on quite high wages for League One as well. So he's got that pressure as well. But you just look at Wigan's squad, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, you could say that about Ipswich, but the difference is, looks like Liam Richardson got them in early, got a proper pre-season out of them all, and they've had a real good start. Had a real tough start fixture-wise, because I think they had Portsmouth, they had Charlton, had quite a few of the big teams quite early on, and now they're motoring along nicely. Cheltenham, they probably weren't expecting to get anything out of this, but I think they'll be fine this season.
They've had a good start.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they'll continue like this. They'll be fine this season, like you say. There's much worse teams in League One than Cheltenham at the minute. Unfortunately, on the table, we're one of them. Next up, we have got Sunderland versus Bolton. And a tight game, ebbed and flowed, could have gone either way. The stats pretty much say exactly that. 14 shots, 4 on target, 15 for Bolton with 4 on target. Fairly close possession-wise. Bolton, plenty of chances, just couldn't find the back of the net. And Sunderland edge it.
Yeah, and again, it's good. Carl Winchester is a player that's playing out of position, believe it or not, at right back. I think he was signed as a central midfielder from Forest Green, and I think that's his 3rd goal of the season already for Sunderland. Bolton, though, did have their chances. It looked like Owen Doyle missed a good one, and I think the goalkeeper made a real good double save in the first half. And I think Bolton will be fine. Playoffs talk possibly, but I don't know. It just seems at the minute they're riding the crest of the wave of after the promotion to League Two, and I'm just wondering once injuries catch up with them whether it'll sort of balance itself out. But can't complain if you're Sunderland. I think they've won all their home games. 30,000 average at League One level is ridiculous, and that's what was missing last year. Their home fans, because when the stadium were light as a rocking, it's basically like having 2 extra men on the pitch.
Yeah, it's a tough place to go, isn't it?
Yep.
But League One is a very tight league, and I think that showed this weekend with the results. Not really any team that ran away with the game, and one that I thought may have run away with the game was Rotherham. But this one, missed opportunity for Rotherham, finishing 1-1. Heartbreak, just like Donny, with a added time penalty. But the mistake from Daniels initially. Let's play through for Rotherham. Bit of composure, Rathbone slots it away very nicely. And to be fair, Rotherham should have kicked on from there and put this game to bed. 23 shots, only 4 on target. So I think they'll be looking at that and be disappointed with that. You want a better return in terms of shots on target when you're having that many shots at goal. Crew, on the other hand, 3 shots, 3 on target. One of those was the penalty, which, as I say, late heartbreak for Rotherham, which, from a Donny point of view, is sometimes nice to see. But in fairness, I do like seeing local clubs doing well, but especially when our season's not going too well, it's nice to see things like this as well.
Yeah. That's the second home game that Rotherham have dropped points. Obviously, they lost to Fleetwood in their last home game. Again, I think this is just a bonus point for Crew. No disrespect to them. I don't think they would be expecting it. You look at the firepower of Rotherham. You've got Grigg, you've got Smith, you've got Ladapo. So they should be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. But I think they'll be really disappointed they didn't put this to bed. And Chris Porter don't celebrate like Ronaldo again, because that just did not look right, mate.
There's only one person who can do that.
Exactly.
A good result for Shrewsbury at home to Wimbledon. A result that you guys probably enjoyed seeing as well.
Well, this is probably the surprise result of the weekend. Actually, obviously, I hate to say this, but they've had a solid start. I think that's probably the best way I can get away with it, and they changed their style a bit. Obviously, yeah, they took the lead, but they look like they've got a bit of a weakness from crosses. Both goals were from real decent crosses. I know Lee He's header was like a looped effort that probably
Yeah,
nine times
yeah,
out
good
of 10
looping
goes
header to
over the
make it
bar.
1-1, and then Udo, second touch of the ball, I think puts it away to make it 2-1.
Yeah, and I think Shrewsbury. I think people may be possibly expecting a bit too much from them this season. I think they obviously had a real good end to last season, and obviously everything that went with off the pitch with Steve Cottrell and everything.
Yeah,
I think people were expecting them to maybe do slightly better, but I don't know. Just the Ryan Bowman signing for me, and I'm probably going to get shot down by Shrewsbury fans, and he's going to end up scoring a hat trick against us now. It just didn't inspire me. And as you say, it's probably the shock result of the weekend.
yeah, definitely. And I think you said it. Wimbledon have had a solid start to the season. They were one of my teams that I've put in the bottom four, or potentially just avoiding relegation as they do on more often than not. But yeah, solid start. The question marks how they'd react with Pigott leaving, and they seem to be doing all right. But this was one that I'd have expected them to get something from, maybe a point, especially with Shrewsbury's start. So potentially one that got away from Wimbledon on Saturday. Next up, we have got Burton against Lincoln. Ridiculous stats for Burton on this one. 27 shots, only 6 on target. But Lincoln, they're a decent League One outfit, and they're going about the business fairly well at the minute.
Absolutely. I mean, I said Lincoln would be there or thereabouts, playoff wise as well. I don't know why people seem to underrate them sometimes. I think people were a bit worried that they hadn't got a proper striker, but I think Anthony Scully must be near double figures for goals and assists already this season.
Yeah,
Lewis Florini's starting to settle in. They've got a solid defence. Regan Poole, very underrated again at this level for me. And Josh Griffiths, I think by all accounts, got them the win. Again, another goalkeeper from the West Brom, that they bring in. They seem to do well with West Brom goalkeepers, and Burton will be kicking themselves how they didn't at least get a point. But yeah, as you say, slow start for Lincoln, but yeah, don't watch out for them at your peril, because
yeah,
they will be
definitely.
there or thereabouts.
Yeah, Burton's fight back just came a little bit too late. They did have an opportunity to equalise later on, but had that goal come at the 76th minute, potentially we'd be talking about a 2-2 draw there. So just a little bit too late for Burton, but those stats, as you say, I think they'll be kicking themselves that they've not come away with something there for sure. Next up, the game of the day, or arguably the game of the day, is Morecambe 3, Accrington Stanley 3. So Accrington tripped a fair few goals over the last couple of weeks. I think, was it you guys who beat them 4-1 last Saturday?
Who's that?
Accrington.
We played Accrington a few weeks ago and won 2-0 at home. That's when John Coleman accused us of being Shakespeare and diving all over the place, which I thought was hilarious.
Sorry, Wigan beat them 4-1 last week. So yeah, they've 7 goals in 7 days. So something that Coleman will be wanting to shut out. But we mentioned him earlier, Cole Stockton. He wasn't on the score sheet midweek, but he bagged a brace in this one and saved the points late on.
Absolutely, and I think another good thing to see on this graphic is Colby Bishop's opened his account. I think a lot of Accrington fans were worried because he hadn't scored in the league up until then. I think there's some issues off the pitch with Dion Charles, is there? I think him and Coleman might have fallen out. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know he
I'm not
played
sure.
for the under-23s midweek. I don't know if it's a contract dispute or what, but the red card was a bit of a weird one for me because it was almost like I can see why he sent him off, but it didn't look as bad as maybe I first thought when I saw that there was a sending off. I don't know if you've seen it yourself. It just looked a bit scrappy.
Yeah, I can
And
see. I mean, we get numerous opportunities to look at it in slow motion. Referees have only got that one chance. And initially, when it happened, I thought it jumped in a little bit there. But like you say, when you look back at it, can both players jump in? And it's more of a 50-50 and both are committed.
exactly,
So I think the red card's unfortunate, but got to feel for the referee where they only get one opportunity to see it. I think the Accrington player probably had control of the ball a little bit more than what the Morecambe player did, and the referees probably thought that he's just jumped in a little bit. But that's why I'm not a referee. But yeah, that red card did impact the game. So it makes the result more impressive for Morecambe having gone behind to fight back to get that point.
absolutely. And here's a stat for you: Cole Stockton's the top scorer in Europe.
In Europe,
In Europe,
wow, is he on 12 now?
even beating Lewandowski.
Wow, I think he's on 10 league goals, but I think he's got a couple in the cup as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Unreal, great striker. Moving on to Charlton against Portsmouth, another 2-2 for Portsmouth. It's becoming a little bit of a habit, and for me, the best goal of the weekend came in this game. Ronan Curtis curling it into the top corner, fantastic strike to get them on the way. A well-worked free kick for Charlton's equaliser, and then good football to make it 2-1 with Marcus Harness finishing that off. But then the points ended up being shared late on, and potentially a reprieve for Adkins, or do you think his job's safe at the minute?
I think his job's safe at the minute. I haven't got the fixtures on hand, so I don't know what their week ahead's looking like. But I think he needs to win at least one of the next couple of games before the international break. Portsmouth, if John Marquis could get firing for Portsmouth, I think they'd be fine. I think he just miss one at 1-0 or something that went just wide or something
Yeah,
from a
it's
free
coming at him pretty quick.
corner.
He's coming at him pretty quick. He's taken a heavy touch, got around the defender, and then struck it with his left foot, and it's just gone past the post. But yeah, I agree with you on that one. If Marquis starts finding the back of the net, then Portsmouth should win more games than what the draw or lose for sure.
Absolutely. And
Great
as I say,
striker, and I'm back at Doncaster in a heartbeat.
yeah, you probably have any striker at Doncaster in a heartbeat at the minute, but
Definitely. You're not coming back on. Moving on to Cambridge versus Fleetwood. I believe this has made it 5 unbeaten for Fleetwood after a tough start. They're starting to click. They're starting to make it work. They're starting to get results, and those results, that little bit of consistency, is pulling them away from the danger zone. But Cambridge, a decent result for them.
yeah, I think their home form is going to be crucial as to whether they survive or not this season. Obviously, they're depending a lot on Ironside for the goals. And Fleetwood, well, I hope Napper's woke up before he got to Cambridge. I don't know if you saw that photo on Twitter of him asleep.
Yeah.
Bless him. But yeah, decent point for Fleetwood, and I'm really sort of nervous about that coming up on Tuesday night at Milton Keynes. They've got decent attacking in Callum Morton, who I absolutely rate. I've rated him since his loan move at Northampton. Callum Camps again, if he can get back to firing and finding form after Tuesday, obviously that would help. That would help him out. But yeah, Fleetwood are quietly going about their business. What's that? They beat obviously beating Rotherham, a point against Sunderland, which they probably didn't expect, and they've Simon Grayson slowly moving them up the table.
Yeah, which is nice to see for Nappers. And I did see that picture, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't go to sleep at all on the bus on the way down to Plymouth or on the way home. Not that I didn't trust the people I was travelling with. So the second to last game over the weekend was Oxford versus Gillingham. Oxford stuttering at the moment. I expected them to be top six, doing fairly well, but a tough game that you'd expect them to win, to be fair. The stats are in their favour. Gillingham, Steve Evans' side, they're always tough to beat. But if you're going to be in the top six or fighting in and around that, I think these are games that you want to be coming out with the 3 points. Matt Taylor, great finish, great striker. Just slotted it away very neatly. And then the equaliser was a very decent strike from Alex McDonald. Well, then there was the penalty not given later on. I don't know what your thoughts are on that one.
A bit soft. You mean the push from Tucker on when he was coming through? Yeah. I've seen them given. But it's whether he was going to get it was going to be a proper goal scoring opportunity. Say Gillingham sort of, I suppose, 2 good points after the battering they got against us last Saturday, and if Oxford could find someone to support Matty Taylor or someone to just take that burden off him, they'd be up there or thereabouts. They're always slow starters. Oxford, they always come strong towards the end of the season, so I wouldn't worry if I was an Oxford fan at the moment.
Yeah, and don't rule them out if you're looking at them from afar. And then the final game of the weekend is the team who we're facing on Tuesday night. It's going to be a 6-pointer. We'll start with the Sheff Wednesday goal. It's a tidy finish, but then after that, missed opportunities. But I can't help laughing at the equaliser. Absolute comical. What I don't understand is you've got 4 defenders who are all within communicating distance to the keeper, who can clearly see that the Ipswich player is lurking behind him. Was there no communication? Was it just not heard? But it's always fun to see when it's not your team kind of making these mess ups. So he's laid the ball down and he's had it robbed off him a little bit like Wrighty did back in the day. Slotted it across the box, and Connor Chaplin's benefited from it and rescued a point. What were your thoughts on this game?
Quite ironic that someone called C. Chaplin finishes off that comedy goal right at the end. It was something out of a sketch like that. I mean, I watched this a few weeks ago, and your Sheffield Wednesday friend was singing the praises of Bailey Peacock Farrell. So I'm not sure if he's put a curse on him, to be honest, because he's dropped a few clangers since then. But as you say, he didn't even look behind him when he had the ball. That was the other thing. I was thinking, every goalkeeper I've seen always looks behind them. And you think, before you put the ball down, that's the sort of thing you do.
Yeah.
But, as you say, it just doesn't seem any communication. I think Ipswich maybe got away with one again, as in getting a point rather than not getting any. And I think everyone just thought Ipswich would walk away with this league, but I think they, as many signs as they've made, like Wigan, I think the difference is they'd spread it out during the summer transfer window, whereas Wigan got all their business done early. MK Dons got all their business done early, and it's sort of shown in the early season form. Your pre-season is so vital to your start of the season, and I think Ipswich just got that all wrong.
Yeah, not just for fitness as well. I think for team bonding, the players getting to know each other. I think that pre-season is probably the most important part of the season, especially if you're wanting to get a decent start and get a bit of consistency going into the first period of the season. Definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, we lost our manager on the eve of the season. I mean, that was just heartbreak. But I think the basics were set in stone, and yeah, as I say, we've not looked back since that guy has left, who I will not ever mention his name again.
That's not good. Not good hearing with us facing you on Saturday. But just before we finish off, we'll take a quick look at the table. We'll have a brief look down at the bottom because we don't want to see this too much. Donny, still rock bottom. 8 games played, 1 win, 1 draw, 6 defeats, 4 goals scored, 11 conceded, 4 points. And as you can see, Ipswich just inside the bottom 4 on 7 points. So a massive game on Tuesday night. If they win, that'll put them in and around Fleetwood, and it'll cut us adrift a little bit with Shrewsbury dropping to the bottom 4. So we'd be 4 points behind them. Whereas a win tightens up that bottom part of the table. Charlton, wouldn't expect them to be down there. We've said it every week that there's a couple of teams in and around here that you'd expect to be in the top half of the table, but it's just not quite clicking for those teams at the minute. Is there anybody in there that you'd expect to see or not expect to see?
I'd expect to see Lincoln much higher. I'd expect to see Charlton much higher, Ipswich much higher. Apart from that, it's probably, maybe even Doncaster I'd probably have as a mid-table side. It's probably there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I did have, unfortunately, I had Crewe. I think I had Crewe, Plymouth, AFC, and Cheltenham to go down. And I've got a bit of egg on my face with Plymouth and AFC at the minute, but yeah, still plenty of the season to go.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about AFC and Plymouth, we'll go up to the top of the table. We've got Cambridge in 12th. Sheffield Wednesday would be expecting to be much higher, I think, as would Portsmouth. But as you say, AFC Wimbledon having a solid start just outside of the playoffs on 12 points. Accrington, another team with a solid start, and I think that's the consistency of having Coleman at the helm. But the top 6, other than Plymouth, I had them struggling with their defensive frailties last season, but that seems to be a thing of the past. So I think they're ones to watch out for throughout the season. They're performing very well. And on Saturday, they won a game which, for me, they shouldn't have won. I think a draw would have been a fair result. And when you start winning ugly and getting that consistency in League One, you're going to do well. But good viewing for MK Dons fans. 18 points, in third. 1 point behind Sunderland and Wigan. So
yeah,
is that where you expect to be, or are you overachieving at the minute? What's your thoughts on that?
I said that if we got playoffs, then that would be absolutely brilliant. Especially as you say, it's so tight in League One. There's so many good teams. You'd say 12 to 15 teams would expect playoffs as a minimum.
Yeah.
Which is over like half the league. It's only a small sample size. We haven't even got, well, it'll hit the 10 game mark on Tuesday. But if you'd said to me after 9 games we'd be third, a point behind the top 2, I know they've got a game in hand, but you still got to win it. And with our ridiculous form at the minute, it's our best start to the season since 2011, 2012. So long may it continue. But I think this month, especially the amount of fixtures in October, you'll know it yourself. There's 6 fixtures, which is 18 points, which is a massive chunk of the season in 1 month.
Yeah, turning point of the season potentially for quite a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of this review for League One this weekend. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you want to come on next week, we're playing you. You're more than welcome. Your knowledge across League One has been fantastic. So thank you for your input across all of the games. Well,
thank you for having me. And apart from next Saturday, best of luck for the rest of the season. I hope it goes well for you. And yeah, be good to get to know you.
Yeah, you too. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, big thumbs up on it for us, please. Comments in the section down below. If you haven't already, please click subscribe and also go over to Jonathan's Twitter and give him a follow as well. And all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching We'll see you in the next one.